Solving systems of equations using the elimination method. Part 2. In this tutorial, you will learn how to use the multiplication property of equality to rename an equation in order to create the additive inverses you need in order to eliminate. So let's take a look at our first example. You'll notice if I added this system together, I would not get an elimination. And you cannot solve an equation that has two different variables. So what we're going to do is we are going to rename one of these sentences. And you can choose any sentence you want, but you're going to rename it so that one of these coefficients will become the opposite of the other. So let's think, is there anything I can multiply negative 6 by to make it an 8? Probably, but nothing I can think of right away. Is there anything I can multiply a negative 7 by to make it a 14? And the answer is yes. I can multiply it by 2. And if I multiply it by positive 2, then that means this will create a negative 14. The only rule, though, is that you have to be fair. You have to multiply everything on every side by that number. So we're going to multiply everything on both sides of the equation by 2. That will give me a negative 12x, a negative 14y, and a negative 20. So I have renamed the sentence, but I haven't changed its value. The first sentence, I'm going to keep it exactly the same as it was. So I'm going to rewrite it, 18x plus 14y equals 4. Now, when I go to add my system together, I get an elimination. So I created the elimination by choosing to multiply by this number. My new sentence will be negative 4x equals negative 16. I'm going to divide by my coefficient of negative 4 and get my answer for x. Once I'm done, I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to use either one of these equations. I prefer the first equation because it has a lot less negative signs. I'm going to erase the value that I know, which is x. I'm going to replace it with its value of 4, and now I can compute. 8 times 4 is 32, and now I can use my inverse operations to get the letter y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 32 from both sides. Now I'm going to divide by my coefficient, and I'll find my second value. Now I can use a check step. Don't forget, a check step is when you erase and replace the values that you found into both of the original equations. So let's see if this checks. 32 minus 28 is indeed 4. That checks. And now we have negative 24 plus 14, and that is indeed negative 10. Let's try another example. These are not inverses. These are not inverses. So I have two options here. I can multiply this 5 to make it a 10, but these still wouldn't be opposites because one of them needs to be a negative. Or I can multiply this y to make it a 7. And these already have opposite signs. So maybe I'll choose to multiply everybody in my first sentence by positive 7. When I rename it, I'm going to get 35x plus 7y, and don't forget this part here. You also have to multiply the answer on the right. The second sentence will not have any alterations to it. So now I can combine my system together because I have an elimination. When I add this together, I'm going to get 45x, and when I add these together, which is really a subtraction problem, I'm going to get 45. Now I'm going to divide by my coefficient and get my value for x, which is positive 1. Go back to the beginning and choose either one of these sentences. I'm going to choose the top one because it's just a little bit shorter looking to me. I'm going to erase and replace the x with the value that I found. Now I'm going to compute 5 times 1 and rewrite. I'm going to use an inverse operation, minus 5 on both sides, and rewrite. Now I can perform a check step to make sure I'm correct. One last time. I'm going to rename this top sentence, and this time I'm going to multiply by a -3 because I need a +9. -3 times +7 is -21, and -3 times -16 is +48. The second sentence remains the same. When I add my sentences together, I get an elimination, and over here I'm going to get -16y equals 64. Divide both sides by my coefficient of -16, and I get my first answer that y is equal to -4. Go back to the beginning, erase and replace the correct letter. This time the letter is y. So y is -4. Now I can compute. 7 times -4 is -28. Add 28 to both sides. Divide by my coefficient. And solve for my second letter. That is how you solve a system using the elimination method by multiplying.